there, folks.
Good evening,
And
good
hello
evening.
there, Future Shock. Are you there?
Hello there, True Spoon. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm here. How are you doing?
Yeah, another mad week. We're in the middle of the Wednesday, the sort of middle of the stream of shit that we wait for every week. But yeah, we love it really. I mean, I know we live in a crazy topsy turvy world, but it's easy these days to be, to actually be good and to be not a muppet like all these other like lefties and all the crap that we see every time. It's like the standards of civilization. It's like you imagine living back in Victorian times or in Roman times or Greek times. You have to be really intelligent and a master of rhetoric and able to communicate your ideas to get things across. But these days, I mean, there's so much bullshit and madness out there. It's just not hard to discern, the right path. So I think
this is it.
the fact that we live in all this crazy shit, it's like at least I'm not like one of them.
Well, it's a way of like showing us the way, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of examples of how not to behave now, and with everything being so out there on socials, X, Insta, whatever you want to choose. There's just a lot of demonstrations from across the board, whether it's political, idiotic sports stars, idiotic quote unquote influencers, all thinking they're showing you the way, to be. When ironically, that is kind of true. They're just showing you the way not to be like them. So yeah, they think they're these, profound, leaders, thought leaders, but they're really just showing us how not to think, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like really easy to be a rebel in a sense, to be truly punk, to be truly an outlier, because it's just you don't even have to make any effort. It's just I remember what normality was, when I grew up. I mean, I know the thing is with young people now, because normality sort of no longer exists, and in fact, normality is something that's shamed, that's sort of frowned upon. You can be publicly shamed for expressing ideas connected to what I used to know as reality. But I guess people of my generation, we remember those. We remember what normality was. So it's like it's easy, and just going and being like that is the kind of new punk rock in a way,
Well, whilst it wasn't perfect, normality was kind of like the 90s, sort of maybe 80s, 90s. I mean, yes, of course, there was things that weren't, done right. We had wars, we had still, some elements of discrimination and all this kind of thing. But, it's a whole different world to what we're faced with now. And I feel kind of like it must be strange being in your 20s now, like trying to navigate all this madness that you're constantly bombarded with. I mean, at least in the 90s, you didn't have such constant bombardment. You didn't carry around this mobile phone, you didn't carry around an iPhone which was bombarding you with nonsense. You had nonsense on TV, but we already knew back in the 90s that a lot of TV was kind of manipulative anyway. So, and then the internet came along, and in its embryonic state, it was originally quite educational. And, we've talked about like the forums from back in the day, how they were different. They were much better back in the day. So how you can really, it's not much of it. Not that I necessarily agree with a lot of their choices, but it's no surprise that so many kids are fucked up.
I mean, like you were saying about the early days of the internet. I mean, that was back when it was like still mostly a text-driven sort of medium. There was like mostly people were writing to communicate their ideas, weren't they? And when Twitter came up, I was suspicious of Twitter, because the idea was, because I remember getting someone soliciting me to join Twitter, and I don't know how did you join Twitter back in the day, and there was this sort of, I don't know how they got my email address. I don't know if I was referred, but there was this yoke thing, asking me to join Twitter. And I found out about Twitter, and the idea was that you could only communicate in 14 words. And I thought, that's a stupid idea. What kind of trivial, like, low attention span, superficial kind of communication medium is this? And I wasn't interested in Twitter. before. And that's why I don't really have. I've only started recently getting on Twitter, but back in okay, with Elon Musk taking it over, that was much more appealing to me. But it was always a lefty thing. But yeah, I never got into the dumbing down of the internet, and I didn't even get into making videos because I was sort of, a bit precious about the written word and my blogs and articles and that kind of thing.
Don't you find though that, like, broadly speaking, I mean, I think we're kind of similar in the sense of when we text, we can like text each other, and you presumably other people as well. We can sometimes text a bit more long form than the youngsters now, but I think I'm always reminded when I think about texting kind of mannerisms, I'm always reminded of The Simpsons when it sort of butchered Shakespeare's Hamlet when it said brevity is wit. Meaning, just that when you can say, it's oftentimes a lot more funnier and impactful when you say something in short form rather than in a much longer form. And I think that's kind of what Twitter was trying to do, not necessarily to be funny, but just to kind of like get across ideas in a more concise way without the fluff. With me, I can't remember when I had 2 stints at Twitter. One was probably around, I'm guessing like 2014, 15. And then I just got so tired. It was so tiresome very quickly, like the amount of brain dead people that you'd end up in stupid arguments with. So I left it for ages and then just kind of came back to it relatively recently, like sort of just before Musk took it over, really. And then obviously he did, and it improved a lot. So yeah, and I quite like it now. Now it's become a bit more. It's become a lot better sort of news source as well. It's always breaking news stories before anyone else.
Yeah, sure. So it's been a crazy week, and there was the crazy things going on. The Tates are still nuts. I got a theory about those two. I think I elucidated it somewhat last week, but I'm going to extrapolate further. I actually think that they're both neither of them are heterosexuals. Because I've just been watching some stupid videos of those idiots talking about women, and they don't talk like men who actually enjoy having sex with women for the sake of having sex with women. They talk like men who are having sex with women in order to fulfill part of a long-term agenda of their own wealth and domination of women and pimping, and both of them are like that. And I thought to myself, that isn't a guy who's having sex for being heterosexual, but for other reasons. It's just and I found this video of have you seen that, with Andrew Tate justifying why it's better to have sex with a transgender who's 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah,
and that woman who's 1 out of 10. Absolute.
Is that the one where he's saying about Hulk Hogan?
It's so funny, man.
He says something about Hulk Hogan or something like that.
I've got it. I got the clip. It's just hilarious. Yeah, it's so funny. He's saying well, I mean, he's funny. He's not meaning to be funny, but it's just so that kind of keeps me going. The stupidity of these people, and I know people. He's got a lot of support on the right, hasn't he? But Alex Jones was covering for him, the other day.
Yeah, he was on Alex Jones' show.
He's been sucking in so many times, Alex Jones. He's got to get wise,
Yeah, he was on Andrew was anyway on Alex's show maybe 4 years ago, something like that.
Tucker was covering for him a little bit,
Say that again, sorry.
And Candice Owens, what is it with these so-called rightoids? And what are they? Why are they all sort of chained to each other? And if one of them sinks, all the others have to sort of bail their boat out and give them a mouth to mouth and resurrect them. I just don't get it. It's just weird. There's something weird going on. And Nick Fuentes, of course, is still supporting Tate. They're all weird,
It's also kind of like the victim mentality. I think they see it as like, until these guys are proven guilty, if they are proven guilty of any of their charges, like, I think that those, because a lot of these people like Candice and other sort of people on the right have done a lot of interviews with them now. They're kind of like just they're then how can I put it? They're not going to throw them under the bus until they're evidence people, aren't they? They want to see evidence first, and I think they're going to annoy their fan base and annoy the people on the right if they convict the Tates, quote unquote, themselves before before the actual courts convict them. So they're always going to stick up for them until the day comes where they're actually sent down for something.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, I think for their own cause, it's going to, drive people away. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
for
it
me,
is.
it's
It is
pretty
driving people
explanatory what
away.
kind of people the Tates are, but
What I
Sorry,
would
what?
say about the whole, like, the thing is, what I've heard in the past, having kind of known or seen their stuff over the years, over a number of years now, is they do, when you can find videos where they're giving quite good, you can find videos where they're giving terrible relationship advice, but you can find some videos where they are actually giving, in my opinion, good relationship advice. But that could just be taken from other people. They could just know what to say, not necessarily mean it as such because it's their lived experience. They just could be
I
good
think
at.
he got it from their father. I think, like I looked into Emery Tate last week, that diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder, and he sort of Andrew. They credit him with teaching them, how to be an asshole. How to be a rich and successful asshole, I suppose. But I mean, it's okay, rich, successful, and intelligent. I mean, I have to hand that over. That unfortunately, in a sense, they're extremely articulate and intelligent in an analytical, devious way, but intelligent all the same. Clearly, I mean, obviously the father was the grand chess master and all that. So, but then intelligent doesn't mean wise or good. So, but there's that, and of course there was the AJ Anthony Joshua fight, which was hilarious. We were boxing fans here, so look, we like a bit of.
I mean, it was just a clown show, wasn't it? Did you see that people were basically trying to say that what was his name, Prenger? He kind of like gave it up because he wasn't supposed to win. But I didn't really think he was. I mean, I know AJ went down twice in the first round. Was it? Was it 3 times he went down in the first round?
He just seemed to be on the flipping ground from 20 seconds in.
He was never really clocked. He just kept kind of thought, do you know what pisses me off? I don't know about.
Crack me up. I love it when he gets like that. When he's rolling around on the canvas, it absolutely cracks me up. I was laughing loud,
But why? The one thing that really annoys me about him that's come in, I think, over the last few years, more than when he was, a bit stronger, was he always has that stupid grin on his face when he goes down or when he's like struggling. He suddenly starts up with that. He did it against Dubois. Was it
Dubois? Yeah.
He just has this stupid grit. It's like, close your mouth, man. You're embarrassing yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's a coping mechanism, isn't it? People smile when they're like nervous or if they're having a bad time. They smile to kind of like try to look like they're laughing it off, kind of thing.
Yeah. It might be. I mean, I think he's a pretty cocky guy. It might be what kind of cocky guy. It's even in defeat. There's no. Well, he wasn't. Well, he was defeated by Dubois and Ruiz. But even in defeat, there's no humility in him. So maybe it's something like that. Makes sense.
I mean, like we were talking backstage about this, and I mentioned about the Tyson Fury fight, which was obviously a couple of days earlier, and that itself, for different reasons, was farcical because it just looked like two old men barely able to move, and like the idea that that Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua is this huge draw where they're both going to get paid millions upon millions of pounds. It's going to be in Las Vegas. It's going to be like sold as one of the biggest fights ever. When you see their respective performances in each of the fights this past weekend, it's just laughable. It's I don't want to watch that fight. If they're going to be that fit and that or that lacking that much fitness and that incompetent, then there's no fight there. Well, we all know it's too late anyway, but they both look terrible at the moment, like seriously terrible.
Yeah, they're awful. Fury's previous fight was awful. It was more like a slap festival. It was just garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, with AJ, he's got glass chin. Looks like a bodybuilder, but I don't know. I don't like him because of his racism. he was saying black people shouldn't go to white people's shops and all that kind of thing. We should go to our people's shop. I just don't like the guy. It's funny that he's one of this. He's part of the diversity we're all supposed to worship, but yet he himself is a racist, right? It's just so typical of these people. We're supposed to tolerate them, but they don't have to tolerate us, even the country that gave them everything. That guy's he's at 200 million pounds or more. He's a super rich, insanely rich guy.
Well, he was if I remember rightly, he was the first billionaire boxer at one point. I think it was him. Yeah, it must have been him. We're talking a few years ago when he was a bit more in his pomp. Also, on that note about not going to white people's shops, who's training him? Usyk's camp. White Ukrainians.
Yeah.
So, what's he on about? Don't train. If you're going to be like that, then don't train with white Ukrainians then. Do you know what I mean?
So he's still after the heavyweight belt. Was he three-time champion?
How old is he now, by the way?
Guessing 36.
Let me just have a quick look.
I know.
Age, he's 36. Yeah, good guess. Yeah, 36. 37 in October 15th. He'll be 37.
I think Usyk's the oldest, isn't he? 39 or so? Is he that?
I think Usyk's
40. Are you kidding me?
I think he's 40. Maybe he's 39. Hang on. Yeah, he's 39. Sorry.
Yeah, right. So that was it was such a farce. I would like to show it here, but I don't want to labour the sport too much. People who listen, I don't bother with sport. But Simon, this is a thing about Grok being a prick as well. Because I asked Grok, I said, well, can you tell me about Simon Jordan's conspiracy theory that the Joshua fight was fixed? And then Grok said, oh, no, Simon Jordan didn't say that. There's nothing to see here. No, Simon Jordan. And I said, all right, you prick, look at this article. And then suddenly Grok says, oh, yes, that Simon Jordan. Oh, yeah, Grok is rubbish, mate. It's so annoying.
He thought you meant Michael Jordan's nephew.
Yeah, man. It's just being the kind of it's lying to you until you catch it out, and then it kind of gaslights, trying to finds a way to gaslight you that somehow you're wrong. It's just Grok is so, I can't believe it. I used to love Super Grok, but it's just got left-wing programming. But Simon Jordan he posted a Twitter comment that he said he's not. I'm not having that fight. I'm not having that result. Something's wrong there. And he says something's up behind the scenes, and it's all about money. And of course, it's all about money. Although my friend, who's also a boxing fan, he commented that on the basis of the performances of Tyson Fury and AJ over this weekend, no one's going to be interested in that fight in November between those two.
Yeah, how can you watch those two and not be? How can you watch those two fights and think, "Wow, I want to see them two fight each other"?
Yeah, I know. Fuck off, police. Yeah, so I think I explained. I got because I live near this. I live basically near the South Circular, but in a nice part of London, but happen to be sort of caught here. So the police always plotting there to get through the lights. They always put their fucking sirens on. It is technically not allowed to do that, but it's annoying. Without revealing out the house and photograph these bastards and take their license. But then if you start reporting on the police, they'll probably take you away. You never know, right?
Well, they do it all the time. And also, I know, obviously, without naming names, I know people who work in LAS who do exactly the same thing. If they want to get somewhere quickly, and I don't mean to like rescue someone, I mean if they want to just, I don't know, go for lunch somewhere quickly, they'll just blue light.
It's fucking annoying, especially when you live in here, and just sometimes every 3 minutes, and it's like, God, is there some poor old granny tweeting something offensive who rapidly needs, rapid response arresting, that's, or some kind of non-hate crime that they've scanned, they've sniffed out.
Well, if that was the case, though, there would be multiple police cars, though.
Right. That's right. Yeah,
a helicopter, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. So yeah, so that was the weekend. That was the fight of the weekend. That was yeah, AJ. If you're any sports fans out there, that was a bag of shite. So
I even forgot it was on. To be honest with you, I saw the. I just happened to see there was like a video popped up on YouTube. By the way, good evening to Well Dolls Dance. Good to see you, man. He's saying good evening, gentlemen.
yeah,
Good to see you
are
again,
you a boxing fan there? Where Dolls Dance Dollhouse by the by? Yeah, is any of this conversation not too annoying? But we're moving on from it. But yeah, I know some people. I know I was the same. Yeah, bred in circuses. Sort of didn't really like sports. But then these days, get older and you appreciate a bit of argy bargy and a bit of that, don't you? Especially when the UK you're doing. We're doing pretty well, and we're represented in heavyweight boxing. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've always had a great tradition, haven't we? The obvious ones, the Frank Brunos, Lennox Lewis's. Joshua used to be decent. I think wasn't it really the fight against Ruiz that kind of set him down this
It ruined him. Yeah, he got ruized. Yeah, because he was tested for the first time. It was a literal. Even Ruiz was surprised. I think that how bad his chin was. Ruiz, you remember Ruiz jumping up and down? He couldn't believe he'd knocked out the heavyweight champ. Was I don't know what it was. WBC. I can't remember the belt he's got yet. But he had a load of them, didn't he? Acquire them off Vladimir Klitschko. Did he get the belts off him? I'm not sure. Can't remember. Or was it because Fury? They relinquished Fury. Fury had the WBC, didn't he? The time before. Yeah, it's fucking confusing. He didn't have the WBC from Klitschko. He had all the others, but yeah. But yeah,
I know he. I can't remember. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Joshua did win that fight. I couldn't remember. I just had to quickly look it up. He won by technical knockout, didn't he, in the 11th round against Klitschko?
Yeah.
God, that was 27. That was 10. Nearly. Well, not. That's 6.5 years. Fuck's sake, 9.5 years ago. That's crazy. Bloody hell.
Oh yeah. So the other thing that's been going on. The artist, the wanker formerly known as David Paulden, now known as Zach Polanski.
The former hypnotherapist who used to sort of hypnotize women's breast bigger, allegedly.
He was born David Paulden. It reminds me of Tommy Robinson. I mean, people in the left, don't they? They criticize Tommy Robinson for changing his name. Well, I don't know if he's actually changed it with Deedpol, but sure, what's his name? Sean Yaxley Lennon. Tommy Robinson, named after the British soldier or something, supposedly.
Yeah.
Have a go at him for that, but it's something a bit. I mean, I don't know if I particularly like Tommy Robinson. I don't know. He can organize a show and all that, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know really what I think about Robinson. I don't know if he really works for who he works for and that. But I suppose he's done important work and he's gone inside, hasn't he? So, but yeah, as for this Zach Polanski, yeah, I mean, did you see that? What he did?
So yeah, as we were saying backstage, I literally saw it just before I left work earlier. I just had a moment at the end of the day, and I was just looking around, and yeah, so it's all right for him to do this stuff, but yeah, he's claiming that it's not his fault. He only shared it, and 1,000 people saw it. Then Farage shared it, and millions of people saw it. So it's not his fault that it's all kind of like blown up. But that's kind of like saying,
apologize. Yeah,
he refused to apologize. But it's kind of like saying, I only planted a bomb in this MI5 agent's car to kill him. It's not my fault. He drove into like a petrol station which had a school bus, and then like the school bus full of kids blew up. It's like, well, no, if you hadn't put the bomb there originally, the kids would still be alive, you gimp. So yeah,
I think he must be another narcissistic personality disorder. These NPDs, they can never apologize. They can only ever justify themselves, gaslight you, and double down. And it seems to be common on the left that this is how they behave.
Put the shoe on the other foot and just have like Farage wearing a t-shirt. Just change it around to what does it say there? We're only making plans for Jack, let's say, or Polanski or whatever. Do you know what I mean? The absolute uproar, like imagine what the media would be like if Farage or a Farage kind of like deputy or someone a bit lower down in the party was wearing that. Like they'd all be, the mainstream media would be all over it.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially the context that Anne Widdecombe recently killed as well, and so I mean, apparently he changed his name to Polanski to honor his Jewish ancestors, and maybe also the PDF file Roman Polanski. Maybe he's a fan of that, allegedly. Who knows? But yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna play. Yeah, I sort of edited. I spent the morning making the intro, and I based it all around Zach Polanski. Just unbelievable. And yeah, apparently he was not arrested. You know, I don't know if he was. I believe was he. I think he was interviewed by the police, but nothing further is going to come of that. So I'm just going to play this alone as he is bit here. Bit of a comment on this. It's quite funny, those guys. Let's just have a go here. There we go. Yeah, slick as usual. All right, just bear with, guys. There we go. Hopefully that's working.
We, gentlemen, we need to talk a little bit about Polanski.
That's pretty funny, Bo, this guy. I like this guy. And I like Nate. These guys. Have you encountered these two before?
I've seen these guys before, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good too, yeah.
Gate. Or Paulden Gate. Paulden Gate. Real name, Dave Paulden.
I always forget that.
Yeah, I'm just calling him Dave. That's his real name, Dave. That's what people in his family and friends would have called him his whole life, right? Or nearly his whole life. Would have called him Dave, wouldn't they? So his name's Dave. His mama called him Dave. I'm going to call him Dave.
Dave sounds too, normal. Too personable for a freak like Polanski.
Yeah. So what happened? What are the facts? Because we haven't covered it yet on latest, have we? We thought we should, I suppose. It's been in the news cycle last couple of days.
Who's better cover it?
Yeah. The Greens did what disgusting thing now? I suppose we'll have to cover it. All right. So he tweeted. Samson, can you get my links up? Is this?
Yeah, this is your one.
This is the ones.
Yes,
there you go. Okay, it's this. It's basically this. This is the furore. That on Instagram, Dave posted or reposted somebody else that had a collection of 20 odd photos, one of which was this weirdo.
Now
this dysgenic weirdo.
You know what's annoying though? Like that hat. I mean, I quite like that hat, but these people have just ruined anything rainbowy. And
Yeah.
I'm suspicious of colours now, which is just fucking terrible. Colours are wonderful. Colours are fabric of our reality, and it's not even that they besmirch the lovely old rainbow and nice colours.
Well, as a side note, just before you keep playing the video, as a side note, that just reminded me of something. Don't you find that society lacks colours, like compared to sort of like? Sorry, one sec. Sorry, viewers, I have a little bit of a cold. One sec. But yeah, don't you find when you look at images of streets, for example, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, there's a lot more color, like in buildings, in shop fronts and all that, car colors. Everything's very sort of dark black, dark blue. It's lost a bit of color, society and reality in general, I think.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Okay, I mean, there's some comments here. I mean, yeah, I don't really know about. I don't really know. I mean, yeah, the deviants have stolen all the colours, right? They've left us with this black and white world of you're either a victim or you're the oppressor. We're in that black and white binary, monochrome, for sort of social conflict space, right? And they've got all the colours. But yeah, we got some comments for Where Dolls Dance Doll's House. I finally got his name right in one breath. He doesn't like boxing. He likes rugby union and football. He used to follow Arsenal in the Arsene years. That's going to be your street, isn't it? I think he's asking you, how come you lost interest in Arsenal? Who's lost interest in Arsenal?
No, that's me. I put that in.
Sorry,
yeah.
bro. The clue should have been used. You should have got that. But yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, fair play. So you read that, yeah.
But yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, right. So just play a bit more of this the guy, with the colourful hat and the very fucking weird looking beard. There's always something weird about these people. I think they described them as dysgenic, but yeah, that's about right.
Had a collection of 20 odd photos, one of which was this weirdo.
Now that
this
is
dysgenic weirdo
a
freak.
genetic specimen.
Yeah, that's a specimen and a half, isn't it?
You know what's comical about this guy? Just as a quick
People
tangent.
laughing at these people, though, is it's just great. You know, we don't have to do anything; just look at them, and it's like that. That's the state of it.
You already know so much about them just by looking at them, isn't it?
But you know what is annoying? These people are no threat to people like us, but it's people like Annie Widdicombe, isn't it? Who, you know, they're an asshole like this with a fruity weird hat and a weird beard could knock on our door and get at any time. I mean, we wouldn't have a problem with it. We'd just be laughing. But that's what's annoying, isn't it? These horrible. Anyway, my words. I'm gonna be careful what I say. I'll say no more, but you get my point. I'll carry on with this. Yeah.
Tangent. That's one of two. He's a twin.
Really?
And both of them are freaks.
Both of them look
DP Audits, yeah, but DP Audits on Twitter has been sharing videos where he's been interacting with these two absolute left-wing dysgenics. And they're a sight to behold. It's quite interesting. So not a surprise that he's walking down the street wearing that.
That's interesting. You know more about it than me, because I don't know really anything. Well, I don't know anything about this actual dude
So these
and his
guys-
worldview and anything like that. So,
Yeah, typical left-winger, attends all the events, tries starting fights with people.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like an actual...
just like notorious, like green activist type.
Yeah, typical
Okay.
Antifa type bloke. Yeah.
Trying to start fights.
Yeah, genuinely. So again, you can go on Twitter, DP Audits. Has been
like
sharing loads of videos of them all.
Oh, right.
Just, yeah, quite.
Okay, I just sort of include that. But you know, you just know with these people, with him, you know, wonder what's on his frigging hard drive. You know, these people, you just know. And it's like my theory is the Jungian shadow projection. That's what these people are all about. You know, they're doing the vilest things, or at least they wish they could do the vilest things. But then their own evil they project onto their perceived political enemies, and that's what they're about. So I said, I thought I'll stop sharing that.
We all know about blue. What's it called? Blue Sky Social. Is that the one? Yeah, I think I mentioned before in here, like when Blue Sky Social which was obviously set up as an alternative, you know, a pushback against Twitter for the left. Within literal hours, not even any exaggeration, literal hours, it already had child images on it, and this was very known at the time, and it was kind of, I don't want to say funny because it's not funny, but it's obvious because it's you know, there's no question it was a left-wing thing, because this was specifically set up for left-wing people. There was like no, you know, you would have right-wingers try to infiltrate them and they would just get kicked off. They would just, as soon as they expressed, because these people, they do not allow any other viewpoint other than their own. There's no conversation allowed other than their own. I had a similar experience with this. I was going to touch upon it at some point today, but I'll just mention it before we move on to Mr. Tate here. I was having a little tete-a-tete with someone on Facebook about the whole climate change type stuff, and he was professing to be an expert in the kind of like weather of the earth, essentially like a meteorologist type person, studied it for many years. And so obviously I was making some arguments about like the impact of the sun and this kind of stuff, and he was just kind of like being quite like derogatory and not even really sort of not even really kind of having a good faith conversation. So I said to him, we went back and forth for a few messages. So I said to him, look, me and my friend do a podcast. You sound quite confident in what you're saying. We've both got a different point of view. I think it would be interesting if you come on the podcast. Obviously, I was going to ask you about it, but we didn't get to that point because, you know, I said to him, it'd be interesting for you to come on the podcast. You know, my friend knows a bit about this as well. And we can have, you know, we just have a little conversation. You don't have to put your camera on or anything like that. We just have a chat about it instead of going back and forth on Facebook. I said to him, send me a private message if you're interested. As soon as I sent that, he deleted all his messages from Facebook to me. He wouldn't even have a conversation. Didn't even acknowledge me and say, look, oh, do you know what? I don't want to appear on a podcast, which would have been fine. Not everyone wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't even reply. He just deleted all of the replies that he made to me and basically just ran off.
this
That's
is the
weird,
mentality you're dealing with.
Yeah, I don't think these people actually want a debate, and they don't actually want to find the answers to any questions. They just they just want, like I say, they just want to hate someone and blame that person or that ideology, or Nigel Farage or Anna Widdecombe. They just want to blame that person for all their personal problems, everything that happened to them, everything they've done to other people, the state of the world, the house prices.
He wasn't happy that I wasn't fitting into his box that he thought I was going to fit into of like climate denier, because I was saying to him, well, no, of course, producing CO2 is going to have some impact. I'm just saying that we're not heading for an apocalypse. And this wound him up no end. And it's like, would you want the apocalypse? And okay, so give me an idea what you mean by that. And he couldn't tell me what essentially the long-term problem would be. He didn't have an answer. And that's when I said to him, look, have a conversation with us. Maybe we can thrash this out with my friend's knowledge, my knowledge, your knowledge. Maybe we can, like we can kind of like come to some conclusions. But no, he essentially just ran off scared.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think these people as well, I think there's a certain type of person likes to be angry, likes to have enemies and to, like I say, feel that they can blame them for everything. But anyway, where Doll's House has replied about Arsenal. Just says, so I can show you that. I'll show the comments. I might as well, Yeah. So
no reason. Just so I mean, when he's talking about when Arsene Wenger left Arsenal, who's kind of like arguably one of, if not the great, depending who you talk to, the best ever Arsenal manager, certainly in recent history. And we went so long without winning the title. A lot of fans, just lost their kind of passion for it, really. And plus, when we're in, like he says at the end of his comment there, in the 90s, we were a much admired team for the way we played football. And that just doesn't exist anymore. In fact, we're kind of mocked for being super overly defensive and really boring to watch. So, I totally get it, man. I totally get it.
I remember my friend telling me, if you want to watch good football, watch Arsenal. And this was in the 90s and the noughts. So that makes sense. Is that?
Up until about we had flashes of it over the last 20 years, but nothing consistent. And certainly now you'll find nobody saying that. Even though we won the title last season, it was all based on having a really solid defense and then grabbing the odd goal, which was completely different to what me and someone like Where Dolls Dance fans from that era, we grew up on. It's just the complete opposite. So I totally get why people get turned off by it.
Okay, so I've got that clip of Andrew Tate being just unintentionally hilarious. I'll just
transsexual, which is a legitimate.
Is that sharing? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Should be all right. Yeah, let's just put it on again. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah.
Or woman, which is a legitimate one. And everyone's sitting there clicking woman, because they think they're going to be gay if they do anything else. You people are not thinking about the question. When I say a 1 and a 10, I mean Megan Fox with a dick or Hulk Hogan with a pussy. Megan Fox or Hulk Hogan. You're thinking, well, I don't want to be gay, so...
See, I mean, it's obvious to me that he's created this whole rational sort of justification for his own wish to have sex with a transgender guy. I'm sure of it, bro. But anyway, I'll just continue with this guy.
I just clicked the girl, the number 1, did it? You're gonna fuck Hulk Hogan? Okay, there's a pussy, but he's got mustache and muscles and shit. He's all hairy, big dude, 6'5". That sounds pretty gay. I don't care if it's a pussy. That is gay. Whereas Megan Fox, okay, he's got a dick, but maybe you can scoot it out the way. I'm still Megan Fox. But this is the question I'm asking. Because if you're gonna sit here and go, oh no, it's gay to bang Megan Fox with a dick, I counter that argument. It's gay to bang Hulk Hogan with a pussy. So which one is it?
Yeah, I mean, where do you weigh in on Hulk Hogan, Megan Fox with a dick?
I mean, maybe in theory you could flip over Megan Fox and
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
It's not an ideal scenario, which way you look at it.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's I suppose you still have to. I want to avoid nothing against homosexuality, nothing personally against it, but I do want to avoid sex involving other dicks. So yes, I guess I have to go for Hulk Hogan. And just sort of guess you can just close your eyes, can't you? You can just, insert and close your eyes and think of England or whatever country you want to think of, really.
Yeah. Well, maybe the option of just neither would be, I mean, isn't that
abstaining? Yeah. No, I thought you were giving me a binary choice. I thought I had a binary choice here.
I know, it's fun, yeah. Well, I was looking into Tristan Tate as well, and he's just a fucking horrible douchebag as well. He always seems like, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the Tates, I mean, but he always looks like the quiet, nice one. Do you know what I mean? But then when he starts talking, you realize what a total prick he is. And again, he's talking about having sex with women, but not as a heterosexual man would do, but as a sort of narcissist would do in terms of the joy of taking a virgin's virginity away. And that's what gets him going, is just that power, really, and I just think they're both gay and they're just overcompensating. I'm sure of it, mate. Honestly, that's my pet theory.
I think there is
I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with being gay, whatever. In this society, that's what you're supposed to say. Whatever, I don't care if they're gay or not. But that's the point.
But that's not your point. Your point is about them specifically, isn't it? So.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But no, I mean, like with that, I would say, not necessarily in Tristan Tate's defense or whatever, but there is a kind of like small percentage of men who are into that kind of thing. I mean, I don't count myself in that, but I can kind of see where they're coming from. But I mean, yeah, you could well be right. You could well just be overcompensating for sure, because it's the thing. It would be like he probably thinks that's the truly masculine thing to say, sort of thing.
Yeah, okay, so the next thing is something I mentioned last week, and ex-Army Paz, we looked at him last week, and he sort of encapsulates a little bit, because what I don't want to do is talk about something one week and then act as if it's all changed, as if it's gone, and that fact no longer plays into reality, and then we've got a new series of a new mound of bullshit to deal with, because the Ann Widdecombe thing is they're trying to forget that, the media is trying to make us forget. And, especially in light, I don't think there's anyone actually talks about, Polanski's comments. I mean, his liking of that post in Instagram. No one's made the connection to Ann Widdecombe, and have they? It's almost as if they're isolated incidents. It's almost as if there's no connection between a lefty, murdering former MP and reform, politician, and there's almost no. It's as if there's no connection between that and Zach Polanski sort of apparently approving of violence against Nigel Farage. It's as if there's no connection, but of course it's all connected. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to find actually whilst you were talking before about him changing his name. Apparently, just I know, slightly tangenting, but apparently, yeah, his family adopted his surname Paulden, hoping to evade anti-Semitism. But he's actually changed it by deed poll as well. It's not like a.
Okay. Well, that's thank you. That's interesting. Yeah. So they did the old what they called the crypto. What do they call the Spanish? It means they were conversos or something. They pretended to be Christians, and they continued their Jewish rituals or something in Spain, and that's one of the reasons why the Spanish Inquisition had to be created, because of all these Jewish people who ostensibly appeared to be Christians but were not, apparently. So conversos and all that stuff. Yeah, so fine. So yeah, it's one of those things, that they do. So this is this guy, we've seen him last week. Again, look at what the fuck is this? These are 4 different faces. I don't know what you make of this. I
mean, that is crazy.
I'm no wiser about any of this.
So the one that's in the foreground, the guy, hang on a second. Mm-hmm. So this is so just to clarify, Paz is obviously the one in the foreground. Yeah. And then so even when you look at,
it's supposedly the one person who murdered Ann Widdecombe. There's the guy on the right hand side is the man in court. The middle guy is the guy who did it, and I can't remember the top left guy. The bottom left guy, is that even? Which one is that? Who does that match up with?
So, well, the bottom left guy does at least look somewhat like the drawing from court. But I mean,
yeah,
somewhat. I mean, the actual moustache isn't really the same.
Why is he not wearing glasses? You can see his eyes. He doesn't seem to have glasses on. Doesn't have glasses on here either. It's very anyway. My theory is
look at the eyebrows. Look at
Sorry?
the way that the court artist has done the eyebrows. They're very long. They're going quite far past the eyes. If you look at the guy in the middle with the glasses, they stop quite central compared to that.
Yeah, it's a low res image, but it seems to be, doesn't it? Yeah, it seems to be a totally different person. So I'll just see what Paz has to say about this.
And again, for those who've been living under a rock recently, Anne Widdecombe is dead. She was bludgeoned in her own kitchen with a hammer 21 times, according to the court. A 78-year-old woman, former minister, Brexit campaigner, Reform UK spokeswoman, found by her gardener, and the man charged with the murder, Joshua Kerry, a 28-year-old from Rotherham, has a provisional trial date of June 2027, almost a full year from now. Let that sink in. Now, I think Nigel Farage was on GB News, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, and on there he already let something slip. He said the police know far more about this man than they're letting on, and in due course it'll all come out. He also said on good authority that Kerry was a hard-left activist, intolerant, obsessed with Soviet communism, attended the marches and had expressed hatred of Farage more than once. Newspaper clippings about Farage and Reform were reportedly pinned up in the suspect's home. Counter-terrorism police are involved. The prosecution has already called it a planned, targeted attack. Kerry drove nearly 300 miles to do it, and yet the public is being fed the usual carefully portioned gruel while we wait until the middle of next year for a trial. What exactly do the police know that they're not telling us?
Okay, so yeah, as usual, we recommend you subscribe to ex-British Army Paz 49. Yeah, he's fantastic. And interesting. What is it that the police know? Farage says the police know something. Of course, in the instance of it being a kind of right-wing attack, I can't wait to find or trump up some kind of right-wing dossier or a manifesto. But when it comes to these lefties, whether here or abroad, you never seem to find out anything about their intentions or their manifesto, and even their social media. They don't seem to exist. That seems to be the case with Joshua Kerry. He suddenly no longer exists online. So that's sort of, I believe someone has gone out there and deliberately, forensically scrubbed everything. But I mean, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would they protect these people? What's their motivation? I mean, they're presumably the rationale is that they have to, if the pub, it's like this is what the reason that they didn't want to expose the grooming gangs, because they think it would lead to violent unrest.
Mm-hmm.
But why then is it okay if it's something on the other side? If it's a right winger, why is it perfectly fine to completely expose things that they've done? Why are they cover up essentially the crimes of these people, whether they're groomers or on the left or? And what another thing is interesting is the Thomas Mayer case. He was the guy who legally he was sentenced for the murder of Joe Cox, MP. That was a long time ago, gosh. That was 10 years ago now, 2016. Can you believe it?
I know, that is kind of crazy, yeah. What I will say as well, sorry, is just it's not unusual for these trials to have to wait this long. I mean, I remember going back to the tapes we were just talking about, they had to wait about a year before they went to trial. They claimed at the time for their particular case, they reckoned it was because the police had no evidence, the police were trying to find evidence, and they actually claimed that in this recent arrest of them, not to go back to them to dwell on them for long, but just to say they claim the same thing is happening again. So I don't know if that's the same thing in this situation, but it is interesting how if you look at the alleged Charlie Kirk leftist, in fact, was it a leftist? It wasn't. Was it?
Yeah, that was definitely a left out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
his whole place had been completely cleaned, wiped clean. It's
Yeah,
always,
he had a transgender lover, didn't he? Who dibbed him in, apparently, right?
yeah, and he was. It's very common to have they find that, you know, it's all traces of them on. They've got no social media,
Yeah.
nothing like that. Their houses are completely cleaned out, as if they've been professionally, like, deep cleaned, literally deep cleaned. And you know, it's what, like we've said before about these kind of situations, is they genuinely, the people who do this, like the hierarchy, the powers that be, the ones higher up, the you know, the puppet masters are pulling the strings, they genuinely don't care what we think. They know that people will figure, or at least to some degree, figure out what's going on, but they don't care. Yeah, it's really obvious, we've cleared it out, but they just don't care. And I guess in some sense they're right, because you know what the news cycles are like. You know, these kind of things blow over, and like, people forget about these things in a week, because there's a new incident every week. There's a new crazy thing that happens, and it just turns people's attention to that. And then from that, next week, their attention gets turned to something else. So they can
The
get
media
away.
doesn't farm the outrage in the same way they do, the left do, the way the Guardian, the BBC, even, you know, they make a point. I mean, it's just left wing, classic left wing propaganda. I mean, they are masters of it. Sort of Stalinist. They find the tragedy and etc. etc. But when it comes to Anne Widdecombe, they want to, you know, the establishment want to bury it. They don't want to connect. They don't want you to think there's any connection between Zach Polanski, you know, liking a comment about murdering Farage and what actually happened to Anne Widdecombe. They don't want you to make any link. So they decontextualize things, so things don't appear to be connected. But whereas the left and the mainstream media, they have this habit of connecting everything into one sort of tapestry of outrage against, you know, the right, you know, and or masculine, or men, or whatever, you know, the whatever the norm, the target of whatever the normality beacon they have to sort of destroy. But about the Thomas Meer thing, that was the Joe Cox that went to court very quickly, which is you know, when you realise that the whole establishment is sort of is in on this, it's just sort of typical, because relatively quickly she was murdered on the 16th of June 2016. He was arrested shortly afterwards. His early court appearances was in 2 days. Can you believe it? In 2 days,
Wow.
Two days later, he was in court, and the trial began in November. So August, September, October, for 5 months. Whereas we have to wait a year for this. Of course, by which time it will all be out of people's minds, which is actually the intention when you think about it, isn't it? You know. Whereas this Joe Cox, they needed it all to be fresh to farm the outrage. So there was a quick turnaround in the jury trial. I mean, not in the first appearance in court. And because they wanted you to think that there was no doubt about anything. It's all, oh, we've got this under control. But they're sort of leaving a year before this guy appears. Oh, who knows what's going on? And they made this doubt, dubiousness. Everyone will be asleep by then. They'll have forgotten Anne Widdecombe. It's all just blatantly transparent, and it just shows how deep the rot is, and how the whole legal establishment and the criminal justice establishment is all part of this same ongoing agenda. Ironically, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it ties into the agenda that we've spoken to before, in terms of, you know, what's happening particularly in this country and in Europe, across Europe as well. Like it's a leftist, like you went into great detail the other day, a couple of weeks ago, talking about the Fabian Society, the connections, the Labour Party, and all this kind of stuff. You know, it's not a right-wing idea, and, you know, so it needs to be pushed. It needs to be pushed as the truth. And the quicker these things get the quicker these things get kind of like quote unquote sorted out, the more people, like you just kind of alluded to, the more people are willing to believe it, because like, oh, okay, that definitely seems right. Things are moving quickly. There doesn't seem to be any question about it. So so we're going to choose to believe it. But I do think also, just quickly on the point of the point of the media, I feel like if you give it, we're what, 2026 now, so if the media must know, the mainstream media must know that they're dying, and I just feel this is kind of like their sort of like their last throes of them trying to hold on to influence and power before this is why we see Musk being pilloried so much. I mean, did you see his interview with that editor of The Economist? Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, maybe for next week I'll pick out a few bits, but like, yeah, I'll send some bits to, or have a look when you've got a moment. They just never learn their lessons. The amount of journalists, quote unquote, or interviewers who try to catch him out, try to label him as racist, try to label him as a Nazi, and then just get completely picked apart by him. They do it again and again, and they just never seem to learn. It is crazy to me, but they are. One thing that he said that they've picked up on is that he predicted, and I think quite accurately, that potentially the UK is heading towards civil war. And you can see it in that it's not guaranteed. He wasn't saying it's guaranteed, but he says it's heading towards it, which isn't saying it's guaranteed. But you can see what he means. If you've got your ear to the ground, or any kind of orifice to the ground, then you can see with, well, a perfect example not so long ago with the riots that we had. Any more, and like you just alluded to with wanting to keep like the sort of child abuse scandals covered up, you know, because they're so scared of riots. The more this stuff comes out, the more you are going to see civil unrest. So he's not wrong about that at all. But yet they're saying now that not only is he wrong about that could never happen, it's such a ridiculous idea, but they also are saying that he wants that to happen. And then so they're now reframing. All he said basically was, look,
I mean, I know that. I know that. I mean, I can't say I know that Elon Musk doesn't want that to happen, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't want that to happen. I mean, he's a businessman. He civil war is pretty bad for business. One would think.
Well, yeah. Why would he want that? Like, he's not trying to gain control of the country. I mean, he's just merely observing. It's just pattern recognition. He's looking at like people like we do who analyze reality regularly. You know, we're looking at what's happened over the past few years, and then we're just extrapolating forward. It's like I say so many times, there's such a lack of ability amongst the general public, and even these people who are allegedly or who are in higher up positions, to extrapolate into the future. Whether they're doing it purposely or not, I can't necessarily say. But, and again, it goes to the climate change people as well, and the flat earth people and all that. You know, they can't seem to see into the future. We're not asking for a crystal ball prediction of lottery numbers, but surely you can. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that, looking at what's happened over the past couple of years in this country, that you could look forward and think, shit, if this gets worse, then we're going to have more riots. We're going to have more unrest. There's going to be more fighting on the streets. There's going to be more pushback against immigrants and especially illegal immigrants on the streets in the cities, especially. So, I mean, it's not a difficult thing to conclude. It's not, I don't think, even controversial to conclude that.
Yeah. So, that's so. That's it. That's the first court appearance of Thomas Mayer was literally, was 2 days, and it's going to be 1 year. Oh no, well, hang on. That guy Joshua Kelly, he appeared in court, didn't he? Has he been reporting about what he said or anything like that? Because obviously there was the sketch of him, but it's just it's really weird. Okay, so you got. Oh, what did I write down? Oh yeah, this. The thing is with the idea of the UK going to civil war, though, is that you need to have two armies, because like the English Civil War had the Royal King's Army, and it had the Parliamentary Army. So they were two evenly, fairly, obviously the Parliament, the Roundheads won, but they were similarly trained and stocks and equipped forces, but there's no the thing about a war is that two sides have to be fighting, and I just don't see that. I don't know what form a new English civil war would take. There's no what access to munitions and weapons do the British have? None. How are they going to I don't quite get that. I don't even get the idea of the UK going to civil war. And like last week, if you remember, I pointed out that a lot of these people who are predicting such events, they possibly have an interest in, this kind of divide and conquer strategy. Because we looked at the Institute for Foreign Policy, which was behind a lot of the interviews with Andrew Gold on the internet, sort of talking up this impending conflict, in England, the breakdown, and there's going to be sort of battle lines drawn, and there's going to be a sort of apocalypse or a war. But then again, I sort of mentioned that those people have a certain interest in dividing Islam against Christianity, and then just sort of watching the two fight, because they want to weaken both of them. They want because the divide and conquer strategy is your perceived enemies allow them to fight each other until they're weakened. It sort of sounds like something like Sun Tzu, that kind of Machiavellian policy. But I don't know what form any kind of a civil war would take. Were you any thoughts about that?
I mean, I think he's been just because as undeniably genius as Musk is in many ways, I think he's just been a bit loose with his words a little bit. I think he's meaning more towards something like conflict, like not necessarily like a definable war as such in the sort of archetypal sense, just like civilian conflict, like we saw with the riots, but just more widespread. And this Economist editor who was interviewing him kind of like hit back with, well, you don't live in England, Mr. Musk. I live in England and it's okay. But yeah, woman, you don't live in Croydon, do you? That's the thing. Like, you're one of the editors of bloody Economist. She lives in Mayfair, or I don't think it's Mayfair, but she lives in some area like that where, of course, she's going to walk around Mayfair or Westminster, wherever it is, and just think, all right, everything's cool here. She's not in Wood Green or Croydon or inner city Birmingham, or I'm not trying to dig out any areas, but I think people from a lot of these areas, Bradford, people from a lot of these areas would agree with me that there is a lot of difficulties due to over migration into these areas, and that's
these guys are organized and they're ready to mobilize these people in a minute on a Friday afternoon at the mosque or whatever. They might get their marching orders, who knows, but apparently they've been firearms and guns have been found with these people. Even people coming into the country have been found bringing firearms. So I don't see there's going to be. I can imagine these people uprising, and just in a few years, when there's enough of them, just literally being a kind of army that just takes the country over, and there will be a tacit acceptance by the police and by the politicians that this is actually what they want. To be honest with you, you'll ring the police, you'll have these people at your door potentially, and the police won't come. That's what I see happening. I don't even see the civil war. I just see our people, if you like, getting just steadily more and more intimidated until finally the Muslims say it's our country now. Honestly, I mean, I don't think I'm being.
Well, this is it. Like,
outrageous saying that,
I'm just looking at an article here from MiddleEastEye.net, and it already contradicts itself. So it sort of says, in fact, let me share this. Hang on 1 second. Let me share this. Is it sharing all right today? There's no messing around. Yeah, let me just.
Seems to be doing all right. Yeah.
So what did I have to do? This last time it was being a bit funny, wasn't it? Hang on.
Oh yeah, you have to click on the thing on the screen again, and then it comes up weirdly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Is this it here? I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Yeah. So it's like, this is from Middle East Eye, and so if you look at the bit here that's in purple, the kind of intro to it, it says, In recent years, Musk has helped fuel far-right, anti-migrant and Islamophobic violence in the UK through his posting on social media site X, which in of itself is kind of a ridiculous comment. But it's this bit here underneath where it starts riots that gets me, yeah? Riots that erupted in Belfast and Southampton last month that targeted refugees and non-white communities were sparked after Musk called for protests. Right, but he didn't call for riots, did he? He called for protests. The fact that people rioted, that's not on him. He didn't go to them, go out and riot. He said protest. This is what these people do. This is what these organizations do. They try to conflate things. They purposely obfuscate, or they put, I don't know if obfuscate is the right word, but they purposely twist what he's saying. There's this over the past few years, I've noticed this. Whenever someone says something like protest and then there's violence, oh well, it must be their fault. Well,
but you're not allowed to protest if you're right wing. Protest is only allowed if you're
exactly, yeah.
If you're protesting for the right to mutilate children's genitals or whatever like that. Anyway, I shouldn't. These guys could talk about that on YouTube, but yeah, Middle East Eye. I've never heard of that. What is the Middle East Eye? London-based online news website, digital media. I'm reading from Grok. Just trying to find out. It's funded in 2014. Former lead writer for The Guardian. So yeah, we're dealing with the Marxist. We're dealing with The Guardian and the left. I mean, we're not. You know what I mean? What's annoying is the impression that you get that this is an independent. That this isn't. They should just have a Soviet flag just flying as an icon in the corner, so you know who these people are. Because that's what they are. They're Marxists. They're Guardian people. God, no one reads the Guardian. It's like it's only got the amount of coverage in Google because it's embedded with the lefties in Google. They're sort of looking out for each other. Otherwise, they're a minority newspaper. They should be deplatformed. I mean, not deplatformed. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't be deplatformed. They should have a reach, commensurate with their, exposure with their readership. But no, it's sort of Google has skewed everything. It blocks any exposure to right-wing ideas deliberately, blocking websites and things like that, or soft banning. It makes sure if you type anything into Google, you more often than not you get the Guardian stuck under your nose, and then no one reads the frigging Guardian.
And to shoe on the other foot again, like if a riot had erupted in London following, I don't know, let's say Polanski or Jeremy Corbyn saying something about, go out and protest the Palestinian cause, these kind of outlets would never write this paragraph. They would never replace Musk with Polanski or Corbyn or whoever. It's because it's just to get at him. But you don't even need to be that bright to see, well, hang on a second, a protest isn't a riot. And people need to be more savvy. And I think people are slowly becoming more savvy to this, but the emphasis on slowly, I mean, and to your point about The Guardian and kind of like I was saying a few minutes ago about mainstream media in general, how much longer are people going to be really paying much attention to these things? I'll stop sharing that now. But how much longer how many more generations are going to be reading newspapers? I mean, when I think of people who are children who are I don't know, 5, 6 years old now, are they going to be growing up to read The Guardian, to read The Times, to read any tabloids? I mean,
well, The Guardian has moved away from its print, its print body. Its print organ is not really. I think its print paper gets 100,000 or 200,000 views a day, maybe maximum. Maybe 60,000. But it's just been declining year on year. But they moved away from that and they've focused sort of exclusively on dominating the online space, as they would say. But obviously, they can't do that without Google. Putting them to the forefront of all the results. So it doesn't matter. It's like you were saying before about the BBC. How long are these media operations going to last? Well, they're just going to put their hand in your pocket. They already do. But it's going to be more and more flagrant. I mean, they're talking about funding the BBC, aren't they, with some kind of Netflix tax that will go, if you want to use Netflix, you have to also have your pocket picked by the BBC. Did you hear about that?
No, what's that story?
Oh no, it's the funding mechanisms for the BBC. They accept that because people aren't people. This is their solution. 500,000 people, fewer, are now subscribed, have paid for the license fee. So rather than respond to the market and either improve your programming and become more appealing, because there's plenty of people out there who want to watch TV and want to watch programming, but they don't want to watch the BBC. So instead of them changing their attitude and actually appealing to being populist or appealing to people, no, you can't do that. They'd rather just they would rather involve we've got a Labour government. The Conservatives were going to scrap the BBC, we hoped, but that never happened because they betrayed us. But because they have a crony lefty government, that Labour government is going to support the BBC and maintain their dominance in the media of the UK, and it's going to do this by finding sort of involuntary ways of the British public funding the BBC with a kind of direct sort of media tax. That it means if you want to have a screen, if you even want to look at a screen, you have to pay the BBC for the privilege. That's where we're going with this. If you want to use Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything and watch anything with a screen, somehow the BBC need to shake you down.
So
they haven't come up with a solution, but this is what they've been trialing. The ideas are out there that this is how they're going to fund the BBC.
You can see where it's going. I've just shared the screen for broadbandtvnews.com, which gives a breakdown of the percentages and age groups that are watching each of the sort of like major sort of news stroke entertainment providers. So actually Netflix now has just got by 1% the highest share and is highest among 25 to 34 year olds. BBC is now just behind, ITV a bit behind, and YouTube down at 10%, but highest among 16 to 24 year olds. So you would think, as obviously the 16 to 24 year olds get older, that 10% will just keep going up and up, sort of thing.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's like my old parents. They still watch the BBC and the ITV, even though they, even I tell them, you know what's going on. You're voting reform. You know what's going on with the replacement, and yet you still watch the programs. And yet my mum, she sort of lives in that kind of boomer reality of the BBC is. You sort of separate politics from entertainment. You put yourself in front of the TV and that's what just it's almost like it's a boomer habit TV, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
and highest among age 75 plus. So that's sort of
BBC and ITV, and so that percentage will only just go down as unfortunately that generation passes away, and then the Netflix and YouTube will just keep going up unless there's a new competitor that comes in and sort of takes over in some sense. So you can see the writing on the wall.
Right, I'll share what I was talking about before with the idea of, they're going to have to get those Netflix young people to pay, because do the pensioners still have to pay for a license? I can't remember. I think they do.
I think they stopped it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, because they've been put in prison. They've been putting pensioners in prison, haven't they? There was a story of a pensioner who's actually.
Oh no, they still have to pay. So, according to Google AI, pensioners must pay for a TV license unless they're 75 or over and receive pension credit. Pensioners under 75 or those over 75 not receiving pension credit are required to pay the fee. Paying for your own brainwashing, basically.
I'm sure there was a story of an old lady who was in prison for not paying a TV license.
Yeah.
It's unreal, isn't it? The lovely old BBC. Jimmy Savile old pensioners in prison. Just scum, sheer scum. So this is the latest sort of thing. This is from July. UK Culture Secretary backed BBC license fee to cover streaming service subscribers. But as you point out, the young people are not even watching it. Why would the young people pay for a service used mostly by those over 75? It's just insane. But they'll do it. They'll just do it
as well. It's a one-off. They pay it as a one-off fee, isn't it? 180 quid. So it's Christ.
She backed an expansion of the BBC license fee to include subscribers. Fucking police. I swear to God, man. Anyway. Yeah. Fuck the police. Disney Plus, Netflix, Prime Video. Lisa Nandy floated a range of ways in which the annual fee could be revamped to more strongly incorporate whatever the fucking SVOD is. But anyway, streaming video on demand. Yes, I got it. So unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're up against what is Netflix, like a tenner? It's a tenner a month, isn't it? So
Amazon Prime, you get your next day delivery, free delivery for about £8, isn't it, or something, and £8 a month? Yeah.
Yeah, so you're looking at a good 60, 70 quid less for these things. So
yeah, £80, well, about £80 a year, and then you get your free, free package, free parcel delivery and all that. Yeah, BBC cannot even compete with that. At some point, yeah. So that's just unreal. Yeah. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a sandwich pan track. It's just a couple of minutes. And then we'll just take a breather. I'll just try and arrange that. We're going to go for another 20 minutes after the break or so. Yeah, we won't go.
Yeah, we'll do the Netanyahu thing whilst we think about it as well.
Good. Yeah, that'd be very interesting. Actually, yeah.
All right. So what? Two minutes or so? Yeah.
I think this track is 2 minutes. We've heard it before. Two's up, but I just think it's really funny. I'm just going to check the length of it. Yeah, it's just over 2 minutes. It's just so I can. Yeah, you get the Netanyahu stuff up if you want to. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's ready. It's cool.
All right, I'll just mute us for 2 minutes.
Excuse me, mate. You ain't got any spare change on you, have you? Excuse me, mate. You ain't got a spare fag, have you? Two's up on that. Excuse me, mate. You ain't got 40p, have you? Excuse me. Two's up on that. Excuse me, mate. You ain't got a spare fag, have you? Excuse me, mate. Excuse me, mate. You ain't got any money, have you? Some spare change for the boss. Excuse me, mate. You could spare some money, could you? Because I'm really hungry. Excuse me, mate. You ain't got any fags, have you? Excuse me, mate. You ain't got a spare 20p, have you, for a cup of tea? Spare change, please. Excuse me, mate. You ain't got any cigarette papers, have you? Excuse me, mate. Two's up on that. Got any spare change, mate? Excuse me, mate. Can I borrow a quid? Excuse me, mate. You ain't got any exotic fruit on you, have you? Excuse me, mate. You got an holiday for two? Excuse me, mate. You got 40p to go towards some candles? Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to have any arms or legs on you, would you? Excuse me, mate. Can I have your jumper? Two's up on that. Excuse me, mate. You got 20p for a wheelbarrow? Excuse me, mate. You ain't got any cufflinks for the bus, have you? Two's up on that. Excuse me, mate. You got any magic mushrooms? Two's up on that. Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to have a spare Spaniard, would you? Excuse me, mate. Can I have your glasses? Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to have £4 million, would you? Two's up on that. Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to know if there's a suitcase going, would you? Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to have any spare relatives, would you? Two's up on that. Yeah, can I have your dinner? Excuse me. You got the latest technology? Hello, mate. Can I have your internal organs, please? Excuse me, mate. Can I have that pavement you're standing on? Here, do you want to buy my eyebrows? No, mate. I don't want the time. I want your watch. Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to have one of them fire engines, would you? Here, mate. Can I have the back of your head? Excuse me, mate. Do you want to swap coats? Two's up on that. Here, mate. I'll swap you what's in your wallet for what's up my nose. Excuse me, mate. If you give me 20 quid, I'll let you on me some theme tunes. Excuse me, mate. Do you want to buy Charlton Heston's motorhome? Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to have a swimming pool full of daddy's sauce on you, would you? Excuse me, mate. Do you want to buy the North Face of the Eiger? Excuse me, mate. You wouldn't happen to have a top hat full of Toblerones on you, would you? Two's up on that. Excuse me, mate. Can I lick your hand?
All right, and that was the delicious sandwich pan with Two's up. That cracked me up, man.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
That's how I cracked. I was laughing so hard. Sorry, Future Shock.
Do you know what that reminds me of? When I was living in my previous place, I used to live right next door to what was it was an old people's residential home, where it was for people with mental health issues. And there was a guy we used to call the Pound Man, because he'd always be like, excuse me, you got a spare pound? And I lived next to that place for about 10 years. Over the years, his demands increased, probably in line with inflation, to the point where it was going, after a few years, he was just going, "You got a spare fiver, mate? Spare fiver? Bloody hell, spare fiver?
That's funny.
You're not in Kensington, man.
Yeah.
Come on."
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh man, he just gradually increased it. It went to £2, £3, and then eventually got to a fiver. He probably just stopped at a fiver because he probably thought, "Oh, it's getting a bit too much now." You know what I mean?
It's kind of like that, though, isn't it? I kind of carry a fiver with me, or maybe a tenner. But I give fivers to people on the homeless people and such if they're like the real deal. I mean, but like you wouldn't give less than £1. If I were to give 50p to a homeless person, I'd feel like I'm taking the piss, though, to be honest, right? Because it's like you'd be giving 50p to a kid to get some sweets. I mean, you can't get a lot of 50p. So I can sympathise, but a fiver is, you don't do that. Yeah. It's funny though. Yeah.
Well, people had to be a bit careful around there because there was quite a few people who would beg around there and kind of make out that they were homeless and that they're out on the streets and stuff. And then one of our housemates who moved in used to actually have to park quite close to the property and realized that the side road, the little hidden side road that he parked on, there was a house where they all went in and appeared to live. In the evening, they would all go in there because he'd come home from work and he'd see them all like going into the house of an evening. He was like, "Oh, okay, so you do have somewhere to go." And if you see him as a one-off, maybe they don't live there. But when you're seeing them every day, like he was, some shenanigans going on there, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm like that already with the homeless or whoever. I mean, if they are even homeless, I mean, you sort of see some big issue people around, and you think, well, they're probably getting benefits. They're probably doing quite well. They're probably not even paying any rent. They're probably better off than I am. But I'm an Orthodox Christian. I sort of got baptized with the Russian Orthodox Church about a year ago, and I sort of thought to myself, I spoke to the monk, my priest, and I sort of said to me, I always think I'm careful if I give money to in the street because you just don't want to feel like you're a mug and you've been done over.
Oh, go on, sorry, I've got another story. I'll tell you.
Well, he said that he says that the Orthodox, there's one of the saints has a saying. I can't remember who it was, but he says, "Let your alms," and he means alms. He means your money for the poor. He says you let it sweat in your hand before you find the person to give it to. And I actually did that once. I sort of was going around London and I had a fiver in my pocket. I'm going to give this to someone. And there was a few could-be's. There was a few contestants in the £5 sort of homeless draw. And they just didn't live up to it. They just, I'm not sure about them. And by the end of the day, I think I had 2 fivers. So it was actually a tenner I gave. And it was right at the end of the day, and I was sort of running out of homeless. And I thought, this is probably the last homeless person I see in Putney, on Putney Bridge. And I gave him his tenner because it was basically about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. And it was as if he'd been struck by lightning because it was as if he was, from what he said, he was about to do something desperate because he just had enough. And it was like I'd saved his life. I mean, I'm not boasting. I'm just saying that the maxim of letting your money sweat in your hand until you find someone, the right person to give it to, who will help the most. Yeah, he's like, he was making out that he was about to kill himself because he totally had enough for he's such a shit day. And I sort of saved giving him a tenner. He'd just given up on people and I turned it around. And I think that's great. I think I'm all for, if I can save someone from that. I'm not saying he was going to do anything, but the way he did say, he sort of said that he'd had enough and I've saved his life literally, but whatever, you know what I mean? So sorry.
On the other hand, in the same area that I was just talking about, I was with an ex-girlfriend and we were walking down to the tube station and the guy approached us and for what we could tell, his head was bleeding a lot. And like he was, let's say, I don't know, he was in his late 50s, early 60s at least, probably in his 60s actually. So yeah, this bald guy, 60s, looks old, looks frail, approached us both. For all intents and purposes, his head was covered in red blood, and he was asking for help. we were kind of like, do you want us to call an ambulance? He's like, no, I just need some money to get to a family member's place. He was talking about, I'll get cleaned up. It's nothing. I need to, blah, blah, blah. I need to get some money. And my then girlfriend gave him 20 quid and we didn't see him again in the area. So we kind of thought nothing of it. Years later, and I mean literally years later, I'm in an adjacent town. So the original one was Bounds Green, and now we're talking about Palmer's Green. If people know the area, they're just adjacent, these two towns. I'm walking over to a friend's house. Who should approach me but this frail 60-year-old man, bald, with a bleeding head, asking me for money to see a family member because he'd just been hit in the head with a hammer, which was his previous story before.
Was it real blood or some kind of theatrical?
Some theatrical thing, yeah. And obviously it was in
EastEnders.
And I literally just said to him, you did this to us. You did this exact same ruse to us a couple of years ago in Bounds Green. My girlfriend gave you 20 quid. Now get the fuck out of here. And he fucking legged it.
Yeah, but was it blood though? I mean,
I don't
was he
know.
dedicated to the part that he'd actually lacerate his own skull?
I bet it probably was something. I bet he wouldn't have used ketchup or something like that. It must have been like some, because you could probably, I don't know, you could go to a party shop and get fake blood, I suppose, can't you? So yeah, it's just interesting. 2 years later, the same guy. And I just thought to myself, I wonder, he's doing this like 2 years later still. Is he, what kind of money is he making from this? He only needs, if he walks around for like 8 hours, 9 hours a day, I mean, he only needs to get 2 or 3 like decent amount. Like if like, I don't know, if 2 or 3 people gave him 20 quid, if he could get like 50 quid in a day from that, that's a decent day's work, especially back then. We'll talk about 10 years ago. So
it's too bad it wasn't an episode of Tales of the Unexpected or Alfred Hitchcock Presents. It'd be like, he'd rip off the wrong person, and then he really would never see him again, right? He'd have genuine injuries at that point, right? That's the kind of,
this is what I was thinking.
Reality in through as a short story with a twist in the end, and that's a story almost in itself. That guy.
Well, yeah, because it's like I was thinking to myself afterwards, you're lucky it's me, because imagine if you got somebody who would have been really suspicious, like gave it to you, okay, fine, gave you a bit of money, sees you again, he's like, you cheeky bastard, and decides to do something nasty to him. He's lucky he got fairly pacifistic person. Do you know what I mean?
Cool story, mate. Yeah.
He's in his, look, he was probably in his mid-60s, to be fair, and obviously, I'm just going to tell him to get the fuck out of here. Do you know what I mean? Well, anyway, speaking of horrible people, on the screen here, a really great person, Brother Nathaniel's account, but Netanyahu's former personal security guard has been caught in one of these American, I think this Chris Hansen's an American sort of celebrity child predator sting guy. He sets people up, those kind of shows where they set up PDF files and all this kind of stuff, allegedly attempting to commit crimes with a 15-year-old boy.
Which one is it? Is it the one on the right who's the former person? He looks
the right, yeah, the guy.
Why is he a security advisor? I mean,
yes,
look at the little thing,
I'm going to play. I actually haven't had a chance to play this yet, but let me just see. It's about a minute long.
We're involved in security for the Israeli president, Netanyahu. Did you meet the Israeli leader?
I'm sorry, I'm not answering any questions so I can speak to an attorney.
You sent photos of your penis erect? You told the boy you ruined your shorts, meaning you ejaculated while you were talking to him. You asked for explicit pictures of him. You say the age of consent in Maryland is 16. This boy is 15. You knew this was illegal. And you had multiple chances to not commit this crime, but you did anyway. Which makes me wonder how many times you've gotten away with it before. Do you have CSAM on your phone?
I don't know what that is.
I'm sorry, I'm not answering any questions until I can speak to an attorney.
You talk about being busy in training. The boy says his parents will be out of town at a work conference. How long was your drive over here today from your home in Maryland?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not answering any questions. So I speak to an attorney.
You talked about taking him out after getting to know him for cheesesteaks. And if it goes well, you say you'll meet the monster at the end of the happy trail. Just tell me what you meant by that.
I'm sorry, I'm not answering any questions. So I can speak to an attorney.
The monster at the end of the happy trail. I mean, what?
So why is this guy? Is he in handcuffs? I mean, what is he? Is he been arrested? What? Yeah, I mean,
I
what's
believe
going
this
on?
must be some kind of citizen's arrest. I don't know what they call it.
He looks like he's cuffed.
Yeah, you're definitely cuffed. And I mean, this is hardly a surprise, is it? Because kind of like Brother Nathaniel's comment alludes to, it's not really a surprise given the circumstances. But I'll just play the last 30 seconds. I don't know how this actually ends, but it looks like he's not going to say anything, is it, basically?
You feel pretty good about yourself today, huh? Think you were outsmarting everyone? A month and a day you spent chatting with someone who told you they're 15. Not just a cop, but a lieutenant. You sent pictures of yourself in uniform. You sent pictures of yourself from your office at the Metro DC Police Department, lounging on your couch, grooming a child. What should happen to you, Lieutenant?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not answering.
So yeah, I mean, just imagine how many of these people that there are out there. I mean, this is just one guy they managed to ensnare, but I mean, he ain't the only one by a long shot. I'm very, very sure.
Very interesting. Yeah, Chris Hansen. I think I've heard that name. Just sort of for the state. Yeah, Brother Nathaniel actually is a Jew. He's ethnically Jewish himself. He's a member of the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, which is also the same Orthodox Church I joined. In fact, Brother Nathaniel is one of the reasons I joined the Orthodox Church. They're pretty good. The Orthodox, they're pretty based. They know what's going on in the world, and it's quite, unlike the Church of England and Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church is. It's very traditional and knows exactly what's going on and who's doing it to us.
Funnily enough, Andrew Tate follows Brother Nathaniel, believe it or not. Look at that.
Yeah. I'll have to follow Chris Hansen. I think I follow Bro Nathaniel, but he's all right, bro. But Nathaniel, but he goes a bit. He does go quite far. I don't know if you've seen some of his other stuff. He sort of goes a bit too far right, even for me. But anyway, yeah.
I'm just wondering what happened to this guy now. I'm just wondering. If this is okay, so this is a lieutenant called Matthew Marl, arrested in an undercover child predator sting. Just trying to see if there was any actual...
Well, I mean, look at Jeffrey Epstein and all that. I mean, it's kind of obvious. And Jimmy Savile, I mean, he famously addressed the Knesset, didn't he? And he said I think he boasted that he's more Jewish. He's a Yid with a Jewish head. He said he was a Yid with a Jewish kopf or something in Yiddish. Boasted that he's the most Jewish guy that there is, Savile. And that, anyway, we can only guess, but the fact that he spoke before the Knesset, the Jewish parliament, as some kind of big celebrity, indicates maybe who he was, possibly. But then you have to just cross-reference it with people like Jeffrey Epstein and what he was doing, and seemed to be working for the Rothschilds, seemed to be compromising rich and famous politicians for the specific reason of controlling them, which is what the Freemasons do, and the Freemasons have always said to have been, shall we say, Kabbalistic, and from that part of the world, if you know what I mean. But yeah, very interesting that was. Yeah,
and that I just checked it. It's about to go to trial, so nothing's actually he's not been convicted yet. So we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, so let your alms sweat in your hands until you know to whom you should give. That's from the Didache, which was an early Christian book before the Gospels kind of were written down. This is what's interesting about people don't realize. A lot of people don't realize this. They because the Christianity wasn't the Gospels. You know, initially that it was the apostolic mission of spreading the word of Jesus. You know, by the mouth and converting people and telling them the story of Jesus and how we're saved if we believe in Jesus, we'll go to heaven, etc. That was, this was even before the Gospels, were written down and that kind of thing. And it's quite interesting. A lot of people will say, they'll try and get you, well, the Gospels, how do you know they're real? Well, hang on, it doesn't actually matter. I mean, it doesn't necessarily even matter because Christianity existed before the Bible. It was actually, the Bible isn't the full story of Christianity. Jesus is the story of Christianity and the apostolic mission of spreading his deeds and the good news. And then the letters of Paul and all the rest of it all came afterwards. Came later. So anyway, so that's from the Didache. It's an early first century manual, kind of compiling the message of Jesus. But it says. It means give to anyone who asks, but with a note of caution. And you would agree with this, with your bloody-headed old bloke scamming with ketchup wherever on his head. With a note of caution, don't be reckless or indiscriminate. Hold the gift carefully. Let it sweat until you've discerned the recipient. And that's just what I did on this one time. And I think I literally ended with, because I saved the money till the end of the day and found the guy finally. I mean. Potentially, I won't say I saved his life, but it seemed from what he was saying that he was at absolute despair, and it changed everything for him. So brilliant. So anyway, so there's no shame in that. In actually, if you're Christian, if you're just being wary and being suspicious of any of the beggars, because basically, so many of them are just probably wealthier than we are. But anyway,
but especially now as well, because I mean, it's always been the case, as has been taught, like you're saying, for many, many centuries. But nowadays, especially where we live, in London and the UK in general, there's way more chance to stumble across. There's way more chance to stumble across fake people like this now. I mean, I would argue that. But so basically, there used to be a guy. So I might have told this story on the podcast before. It was a long time ago, though. I came back from a rave one time, and there was absolutely nobody in the area where I live. And where I live, it's usually very hustle and bustle, and not some very nice characters around. So coming back in my let's just say sort of like happy state after the rave and having enjoyed myself, I grabbed myself a beer and just decided to walk up and down the high street, just a 10 minutes walk sort of thing. Now, at the weekend, there would usually be a guy who would position himself in front of the entrance to the mall, carving a dog. So he'd have this large wooden dog that he would be finishing off. And every day he would carve this dog. And then people would like throw money in his hat and whatnot for this, what was a very well carved dog. And so I wandered up the high street with my canastella, as I do, classy and everything. No one around, literally zero people. As I get to the top, I go, oh, okay, fine. I turn back round and I come back down the hill. As I'm coming back down the hill, lo and behold, here's this guy with a 3/4 finished dog, just getting it out of his bag and putting it on the floor and getting himself ready to finish it off. This was his ruse, wasn't it? He wasn't making that dog from scratch. He was like making like he was just finishing off the dog, basically. And so I just thought that was quite interesting. He gets himself there 6 a.m. in the morning before anybody shows up and kind of pretends that he's been making this dog for ages and he's just finishing it off and all this kind of stuff. So they're everywhere, man.
They said, hang on, it was a dog.
It was a wooden dog. It was kind of half to 3/4 finished.
Whittling it or something.
Yeah, he would be kind of like whittling it and sanding it and stuff like this and allegedly shaping it. But you'd never see him finish it. It would always look half finished or 3/4 or 1/4, 1/3 finished whenever you walk past him in the street. So presumably he would just kind of wait until it gets a bit busier and then just pretend to sand it for a bit and pretend to whittle it a little bit.
So it was like it remained in that state, like
maybe he had multiple versions of it. I don't know, but like Yeah, he definitely wasn't starting from just kind of a lump of wood, which I think was the implication. So I was like, okay, I see your game. Interesting.
I've seen that done with like Africans and paintings that they're making out that they're painting. I think I've even seen that on YouTube. But it turns out that they're given the paintings from some kind of refugee agency, and they're sort of told to pretend that they've painted them. You know, this isn't. I think this is common in Paris. I haven't seen this so much around London, but I think in Paris, I've seen this in Paris. You know, these sort of generally these African sub-Saharan Africans given a load of paintings and half completed, 3/4 completed, and told to sort of, make it look like they're doing something. You know.
Yeah, man.
So yeah. All right. So yeah. I mean, the thing is, yes. It's on a cynical note. We're going to wrap up the show, but yeah, on a sort of, I don't want to end on a cynical sort of note about Africans.
Well, it was cynical with a bit of whimsy. It was a whimsical cynical in a way, you know.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. But I mean, I'm always striving for that transcendental vibe, you know, sort of. Remember that we're tumbling through space at 60,000 miles an hour and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of. Take your mind off these off the.
It's easy to forget. It's all too easy to forget. Isn't it?
It is easy to forget, isn't it? And I think if we remembered that we're hurtling through on a sort of amazing spaceship through the cosmos, sort of massive, total miracle that we're involved with the whole of the creation. But yeah, it's easy to forget, isn't it? When you get confronted with the mundane realities of tedious English life, right, and all that crap. Yeah.
Well, it's what I was trying to say to someone at the gym the other day. I was kind of saying to him, look, like imagine people tend to forget. Obviously, the ancients didn't have light pollution, cities like we do, or at least they may have something equivalent, but like not to the degree that we have like a London or New York with the artificial lighting.
Good point.
I don't think.
And they had no street lights whatsoever, and yeah.
They would be aware. You would be very aware all the time of like your place in the cosmos, of your humble beginnings, your diminutive status flying through. It would be like looking out the window of a spaceship. And so that just fundamentally changes like how you just live your day-to-day life. And we just don't have anything like that unless you're an astronomer who works in like a Chilean
Hawaii or Chile, yeah.
Most of us have. Did you see the story about when there was a blackout? I think this was back in the 90s. There was a blackout in Los Angeles, and everyone rang the police to report a strange cloud in the sky, and it was the fucking Milky Way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. But yeah, some people will literally have never seen that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have not seen those amazing shots. I've seen. I haven't seen like I've seen the Milky Way, but I always long to see the real. I've been remote places, but I've never quite seen that jaw-dropping stellar experience, which I kind of long for that. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Chile's supposed to be the place. I mean, at some point when funding's a bit better, 100%. I mean, I don't really have a bucket list, but if I was going to have one, 100% it would be to visit one of the Chilean. I have actually looked into it. Where's the best place? Where's the best place to hike? You're looking at a good $3-4 grand. I mean, like for me at the moment, it's not really doable, but I would love to do it at some point. That's not that much money if you're just doing a little bit better than I am at the moment. So it's not that far off at all, but just not quite viable right now. But I think that's one of the best places on earth. I think the Chilean like mountains and observatories there, they're regarded as some of the best places.
Even when you think in England, if you think you're out in the country, you're still affected by light pollution. So like the fact of a really dark sky, the ability to access a dark sky in the UK is extremely difficult. Even Wales, probably places like northern Scotland, but in most of England, it's kind of hopeless because of just this.
There is a designated dark sky area, and I'm just trying to find the name of it, and I don't know why it's so difficult to find. But it's down Isle of Sark. That's it. Why did it take so long for it to bring me that? So the Isle of Sark is supposedly the best place. If people are interested, if you're interested, look at images on Google. You can find loads of amazing shots there. I think that's the closest place, or the best place, sorry, in the UK. So that's down south, I believe.
Channel Islands.
Yeah.
One of the Channel Islands. So it's, it's tricky to get there, yeah.
So it's actually, they don't have any traffic apart from an ambulance, a police car, and a postman, I think.
They're in the middle of the channel, the English Channel. So yeah, that'd be pretty good.
So yeah, that is one place if people fancy it. That's quite, and if you're in the UK, that you don't need to travel to Chile. It's not as good. I've seen the comparison pictures, but it's still bloody good.
All right, man. Future Shock, yeah, thank you for coming. I know you've been ill today. We've actually done nearly the 2 hours. We weren't going to do 2 hours, but we've managed to talk ourselves into nearly 10 o'clock. So we'll say goodbye on that note.
Yeah, cheerio, everyone. Thanks for listening as usual.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna finish by I've got this video of a sandwich pan called Dixon of Dot Green made me go insane. It's 17.5 minutes long. I've already got this on my YouTube channel, but the difference is here is I've put subtitles so you can actually follow the lyrics, and the lyrics are pretty good. The story is quite a good story, if you like, to go with the video. It's worth listening to, because otherwise you might not be able to discern the words. So that's 17 minutes, and that's when that's finished. That's going to play into the players out into the end titles. So we'll say goodbye, and we'll say keep tumbling rapidly through space.
We'll be back next week, 8 p.m. Like and subscribe on YouTube, please. It helps the channel out and gets us out to more people, and that's always a good thing. So yeah, keep tumbling. Have a good one.
Check out my blog, truthspin.com, and yeah, remember that the night sky is, as Future Shock says, it's just the window of a spaceship. Pretty cool. I like that.
Good night, wear dolls as well. Big up to you.
All right, thanks, guys, and they're going to. This is Sandwich Pan Dixon Dot Green made me go insane. It's the video, and then that's the end of the show. So cheerio. We're going to mute up now.
See you later.
Cheerio, guys. See ya.
Yes, I understand the situation is critical. We need immediate action. I'll mobilize the team right away.
I watched Dixon and Green and it made me go insane. So I kidnapped a policeman king. Bacon was his name. Way deep in the woods amongst the branches and the brush, well, I hooked into a tree with a chain in his handcuffs. I apologized and said you're gonna be fine. Please just relax and you will have a pleasant time. And soon the panic and the crying and cease, 'cause I reassuringly said I'm a fan of the police. Just get your head prepared for a tidal wave of love, tolerance and brotherhood. And then it hit us, the blast of a new. Let's let our missile try to find the edge to view. Well, here we go, it's clearly happening now. And keeps on back in his head, he's rolled up on the wow. I'm step around, turn up back of the tree. And then that concentration came back you free. See, that's the friends now, I feel like an ass. You have personal question, get a glimpse behind the mask. Tell me what's it like to be you? You can act to be king, or you can just live your routine. Being police is just the worst occupation. Extended pressure when I walk into the station. I join up thinking I catch killers and thieves. Instead I arrest people who just take a few of these. I'm hustling innocence all of the time, victimizing people when there weren't even a crime. Each day I hate myself a little bit more. Out there enforcing a bitch where he punches more. This drug is great, it helps me cogitate. I see it all crystally, I feel the distress of my whole career. Don't get me started on corruption in the mix. These city pigs are in the wrong and they can get. You pay Einstein sussed it! Straight away they quit! So what we're left with is the morons and the shit! They want promotion, so they pucker off their lips and bend over and kiss the brass and lick the gaffer's pits! Special of the West End with impunity, like St. Jimmy Dimmel, Savile, and Peter BBC. Yeah, you've got the crackers and you want a winning crowd. Every single judge out there is begging to be fought. Institutions are corrupt, man, and this one really stinks. We all turn a blind eye and keep on taking drinks. Check out the fucking uniform. What a way to dress. I hate the way it makes us look like we're in the SS.